Hello, everyone. So today's in conversation is with Mr. Nitesh Bansal. So Nitesh is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer at R Systems. As a seasoned industry veteran with 25 years of experience in digital and product engineering services, Nitesh has worked across multiple industry verticals and geographies. He joined R Systems after a remarkable tenure spanning over 23 years, wow, where he held various leadership positions, playing a pivotal role in driving business growth and expanding market presence. So thank you so very much, Nitesh, for this conversation, and please
Thank you,
welcome.
Vandhana.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here again.
Great, great, great. So today's conversation, and the discussion would be around engineering the future and how it, the intersection of AI design as well as the human experience.
Okay.
So, how is AI being used to constantly improve the human experience? What has changed as well? How is it going to also evolve in future? So we'll, touch upon some of these topics.
Sure.
Yeah. So diving right into it, I will start with how is AI really transforming this engineering process from concept to the end delivery. Yeah.
Right. So, look, in AI, not only has been the talk of the town, but it truly has some very far reaching consequences and
Yeah.
impact that it creates. Starting right from the very basic, whether you look at ChatGPT or GPT-4, the what it has shown is the ability of coding, right, through an AI, right? Now that fundamentally, of course, changes the way we think about the whole coding process, the whole engineering process itself. The contextual awareness, if we talk about, right, and as the maturities of these AI models have improved, they are being able to consume starting with 2,000 tokens to now 1 million tokens, right, which just significantly enhances the amount of context that an AI, which is trying to respond to a query, which is trying to, let's say, help you solve a problem. And what we used to miss in the past was those were point answers to now getting that entire context already fed into it and then getting a contextually sensitive response to it. If you look at the algorithmic efficiency, right? I do not remember which study it was, but a study said that we are improving the algorithmic efficiency by almost 0.5 orders of magnitude each year, right? Which basically means that we are able to do a lot more complex algorithms using AI and generative AI concepts. And then, of course, there are a lot of tools that have come in that assist in the coding process, copilots and others, right? Now, if you take all of those together, what it is doing is it is giving us a new way to look at how the engineering is done, right? Engineering, which was originally, let's say, a very well-defined discipline of discovery, design, build, test, deploy, has the disciplines remain the same, but the amount of time and effort that somebody has to spend doing it and the kind of context that you can include in doing that has significantly changed, right? So it brings in efficiency, it brings in speed, it brings in accuracy, it brings in an element of human centricity, as you touched upon in your in the introduction, which we could have done earlier with a lot more effort. We can do it far more easily now, right? And what it means is that the expectations from what we deliver back to our customers have gone up so much more, right? To give you an example, how it is enabling in our kind of day-to-day work or what we deliver to the customers, for a education platform, for a training platform, we developed a smart AI-based learning assistant, right? And what it did was it significantly improved the indexation capability of the content lying behind, right? As we all know, we all use search engines. The relevance of the search that gets displayed on the top, which is indexed through an algorithm to say this is probably the most relevant answer to what you are asking for. Same thing now on a learning platform where it is constantly indexing and reindexing based on the user parameters, based on the new content getting added, and being able to serve more relevant content on the top, right?
Yes.
Improves learners' efficiency, the learner's satisfaction, and the kind of value and commerce that the platform is able to drive.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
I can possibly think of another example in a similar space. We worked with a AI-assisted content generation platform, and there we are doing content which is based on user needs. So this could be, you could think of this as an a learning website, or a place where you're giving knowledge-based articles, which improves the user's understanding of your product and your services over time. Having a direct line of sight to how accurately it served a user's need, or what was the line of sight to ROI, significantly improves your ability to then do more contextual content behind it, right? And these are the kind of things that we are seeing happen, and that will continue to grow.
Absolutely.
So I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely, definitely. And really interesting also because you've peppered that with some examples as well. So that really helps in...
because this is what our customers come and ask us for, right? This is what keeps us on our toes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So wonderful. So now, where does and how does that human-centered design, what role does that play in the overall, in this age of AI and automation? So how does human-centered design, how does that fit in? Yeah.
So human-centered design is absolutely essential, right? I mean, we have for a very long time believed, and I've said this many times, that the sole purpose of tech is to elevate human experience. Nobody does tech for tech's sake, right? You have to somewhere be able to impact a value chain and the human interaction in that value chain. And hence, it's very important that when we are using AI or leveraging AI to do something as simple as build an automation behind it, or put a chatbot or a conversational interface to be able to help the user. It could be as simple as a customer service team, or it could be as complex as helping a design team come out with a relevant design for let's say a physical product. Understanding the individual users who are going to be using it, whose value chain we are impacting, becomes very, very important. It's very important that we know that the AI is not being trained with or not being responsive only to aggregated data, right? It's not just general knowledge that we are training the AI with, that we are actually putting the right human context, and there the human is equal to the user, right? Not just any human, right?
Yes.
So if we are talking about, for example, if we are talking about a customer service department which is responsible for providing responses to a simple things like what is the status of my invoice, right?
Yeah.
We are talking that the user in this case is someone to do with account receivables department, an accounts payable department, somebody to do with a finance transaction flow. And hence it's very important to understand that the context of the user over there is to do with that kind of transactional data, that kind of transactional flow, to be able to bring it in, right? Same thing goes with a lot of product designs as well. The concept of reinforced learning through human feedback, RLHF as it is called, becomes very important, because you do design a product keeping a user base in mind, but how do you close the loop, right? How do you make sure that as people start asking questions about usage of the product, or additional features of the product, or complain about what feature that a product does not have, those things actually get fed into the AI algorithm which is being used to come out with incremental designs of the product, right? So I think all of those things become extremely important, because ultimately, if we just develop a technology, we develop a product which does not serve to benefit the human experience, then we lose the value of it, right?
Absolutely.
So I think it's essential. It goes hand in hand. It also is to make sure that we don't talk of these things as general purpose AIs and general purpose data to be consumed by an AI just to solve a problem. But we get very specific about the kind of users, the kind of value chain, and then look at what data elements, what training models make sense.
Wow. That's absolutely, completely agree with that. Yeah, like very, very well put as well. Yeah. So now, for companies, if we look at them, so how can they balance this, rapid innovation as well as having some ethical concerns as well? And also, what kind of strategies can they also adopt in the meantime, to ensure that they are not hitting any data wall, so to say, when they are developing AI tools? Yeah.
Right. So I'll probably divide it in two parts, right? I mean, because the question of data wall is an important question by itself, right? And I look at it in two ways. One, there is a generally known set of data that has been consumed over and over again, right? You classify it as C4 data or whatever you call it. A lot of already structured texts and some of the well-structured and captured transactional data has been used. But there is 60 to 80% what you call dark data in an organization. Dark because it is unstructured. Dark because it was never put in an electronic form. Dark also because it has not been identified as being usable, right? And I guess there is ample of opportunity out there to be able to discover and leverage some of that data. And that kind of prevents you from hitting a data wall, so to say. Also, the concept of data ownership has probably got to be seen differently. I think we've all gone through that time where we have always said, data is our core asset because we are trying to monetize data. So, and if it is our data, we should try to lock it up and keep it within locks, because that's the pot of gold that we are all trying to kind of build upon. But there is value in data federation, because same data point in a different context could lead to a different insight, right? And hence, if I have a certain side of the data available to me, and I could start using data from some other organizations, some other sources, which in combination enriches the outcome of what I produce, right? In a federated manner, in an open, ethical, transparent manner, right? Different from, data stealing or any kind of, sort of unethical work out there, but doing it together in a federated manner where we understand the value of data, combine it with what we have, and produce higher value. That's also something that will help us grow. And then last but not the least, I think with the increase of edge computing, it allows us to capture data really at the point of interaction, and using some of that right there and then to contextualize the decision support that the system requires. It also saves us from actually trying to build that into the context in the backdrop, which will require a significantly larger data set and cases to be able to say what the outcome should be, right? So I think data wall or limitation of data set can be addressed in many of these ways, and these are still evolving, and we need to see. Coming to the ethical side of the question, which is extremely important, and we cannot really address it in short, so to say. But I think fundamentally what organizations can do, should do, are also doing is taking a lot more conscious view towards understanding the data set that they're using for training the AI models, right? How can it be more bias-free, right? Removed from the biases. How we evaluate that data set, not to be built out of a single source of transactions or input coming from either a single geography or a single ethnic type or whatever else it is. And even more so in cases of healthcare data, and in cases of data related to whether it is about education or policy and those things, right? And then using sufficient And there are a lot of technologies and tools out there that actually allow you to, put that security layer on your AI models so that it does not leak out something which was not supposed to be, right? There are concerns about personally identifiable information. Should PII be consumed for the purpose of, generating the models, or should it be kept aside, right? I always, kind of give this example. It was in one of my client interactions, it came up. A particular telecom company wanted to improve the user experience of their cable television viewer experience in a particular area. Then the question is, well, you need the user experience data for that particular zip code. You don't need to know the names of those users, right?
Of course.
So having that differentiation, while your data set is built of your subscriber data pool and the customer call history of who called for what complaint, but to train your model, you don't need the names, right? And putting those kind of checks and balances in the system, making sure your engineering teams, design teams, developers are all trained for those ethical considerations so that these things don't come in, become very important. I think one example that comes to my mind is Privacy Meter, for example, is a tool used by banking or a lot of financial systems applications where they're using AI models to determine loan delinquency and non-payment scenarios. And Privacy Meter continues to run an algorithm to check that with every query, there is no PII that's getting leaked, right? And whenever there's an evidence, the models get revisited and reprogrammed, and so those are great examples of how ethical considerations can be addressed.
Got it. Yeah. Oh, wonderful! Really, really interesting. Again, with the examples, it really drives home the point as well. You also, in this question, you had also alluded to how you have to train the developer teams and the engineering teams and other analytical teams as well. So how do you envisage the role of the engineers? How are they going to evolve? So, because so many changes are happening.
It is indeed. And the engineer is the fundamental cog in that whole wheel because, look, regardless of what anybody might say, the fundamental role of engineer is not getting diminished, right? The engineer will still have to understand the problem, write the algorithms, do the basic research, code for it, and build the solutions, right? So that's not going away. But the role is evolving, right? It's no longer what I would call, just for purpose of differentiation, just the hard hours of brute force work that one had to do, right? So there is a lot more finesse, lot more intelligence that has come into it, right? So the first and the foremost thing that the engineers need to be trained upon is how to use these development tools, how to leverage AI. What can it be and what should it be leveraged for, and where it should not be, right? You don't want to necessarily just copy the code that a generative AI tool develops and paste it out there, right? But on the other hand, asking a generative AI engine or your co-pilot, so to say, on suggestions on what code libraries could be used is a perfectly valid usage of a development assistance that will further enhance your work process, give you maybe some undiscovered code libraries or snippets that you hadn't looked at, and significantly, improve the cycle time, right? So those things need to be done. I think touching upon from the previous answer, the whole training on ethical considerations. I don't think I can overemphasize the point. Every developer who is now working on creating a system and using some form of AI assistance, AI tool, needs